Because you're happy you're a nurse, tell me a little bit about what advice would you give to new nurses?
To new nurses, I would like them to have passion for what they're doing. Yes, you have to have compassion to be a nurse.
So, Mary Grace, tell us why you became a nurse.
Okay. It feels like many, many years ago, but I was actually a patient at St. Mary's in 1973. My hospitalization was longer than expected, and I became very friendly with my student nurses that took care of me and my staff nurses. I was a secretary at the time, and I couldn't believe how devoted and how much my nurses loved what they did. And so when I finally went home a few months later, I was discussing with my husband a career change, and that I thought I would like to go to nursing school. So I applied to St. Mary's Nursing School early '74, and I was one of the first adults accepted. Now, adults back then was someone married with children, so I was the first one. I thought I would have a hard time being with 18 and 19-year-olds because we had an age difference, but they became my second family. And now 40 years later, I still love what I do. So it was a great career change.
What joy do you find in being a nurse?
I think it's the little moments when patients come back to us after they've delivered and they show us their baby and they're just so happy and thank us all for helping them out. It's those little things that really make me feel good about being a nurse.
So Maria, we understand that you're an aspiring nurse, and we want to know why. Tell us, why do you want to become a nurse?
Because nurturing others is like second nature to me. And for prenatal care, being as a new mother, seeing the new moms, seeing their smiles, and seeing how they progressively grow with the development of their prenatal care, and how nurturing with and bonding with the new moms.
So Anne, tell us, what advice would you give to future nurses?
To future nurses?
Yes. Or new nurses?
New nurses, I would tell new nurses to go back to school, continue their education, stay clinically competent, and continue their CEUs. I would tell them to get certification once they're experienced enough to qualify to get their certification in their specialty. Most importantly, I would tell them to celebrate their successes and learn from their failures, and know that everything they do in their career means something to a patient, to a family, to a friend, and that they should be very, very proud of who they are and what they do.
So if you had to sum up, what makes a great nurse in one sentence or one word, what would you say?
Love. Love of their profession, love of what they do, and just ongoing commitment and dedication to serving humankind. It's very special. It's a very, very special attribute. You have to have it to be able to be a great nurse.
Hi Luz, tell us, what is the most memorable moment you have as a nurse?
When they first come in and they're introduced with the care plan and how we're going to take care of them, and at that moment there are patients that are afraid, that don't feel that level of confidence that they can do this, and it feels so good when they receive the level of support and education on what we are trying to achieve, the goal, which is maternal, I'm a labor and delivery nurse, maternal and fetal well-being. And when they start to realize that they have it within them to go through this process, to successfully deliver their baby, because we're supporting them in guiding them back into themselves to find that power within them. To me, that's the most memorable moment, when that mother at that moment realizes, yes, I can do this, yes, this is special, yes, this is awesome. I feel that at that moment I have achieved the goal that I wanted with this person.
So if you had to describe, what makes a good nurse, what would you say?
Take care of patient as much as you can. This is what makes you a good nurse.
So Jacqueline, tell us, what advice would you give to new nurses?
I'm kind of a new nurse myself. I've been here at Hoboken for 2 years. Basically, I would just say to be a team player. Teamwork kind of makes it go smoothly. whenever you can, go into a room with another nurse and just kind of learn from what they're doing. If we're in labor and delivery, if you have another patient that's not yours delivering, you can go into the room, see what other nurses do, familiarize yourself with that, and it just helps kind of build your confidence, because at first I did not have it, and that really helped me. So that's my advice, just teamwork.
So Whitney, tell us, what is your most memorable moment as a nurse?
Okay, I would have to say in labor and delivery, the parents that come back, like the second or the third baby. I had a patient come back recently for their third baby, and I delivered the second one as well. So the first one, the second one, and then the third one. That's probably my favorite thing. Seeing hearing all the babies come back, and you see them at 2, 3, 4 years old, and it's just, you're a part of this little family for a moment in time. So I think that's really great.
So we have the dynamic duo, we have Patty and Janice, and we're gonna be asking you questions. So the first for you, Patty, tell me what advice you have to give to new nurses.
I love students, and I love new nurses, and I think that they need to know always to be their best, always to give with their heart, be mindful of the patients around them, that there's somebody's family and other, and just give the warmth that you have, that you brought with you, give it to them each and every day.
Thank you. So Janice, as a pediatric nurse, I'm sure that you come across infants, children, adolescents, and that must be challenging on its own. Tell us, what is your most memorable moment for you as a nurse?
Well, I have to say that being in the hospital is hard for children all the time, and especially holidays. So I remember one Halloween, I realized that SpongeBob was the big character out there, so I made a SpongeBob costume, and I came in and I felt like such a fool, and I tramped in the room, and a little girl looked at me and said, "SpongeBob, I love you," and gave me a hug and a kiss, and it melted my heart, and I'm like, oh, this is just awesome. So I made the holiday a little better.
Hi, Kat. Hi.
Tell us why you became a nurse.
My mom inspired me to be a nurse, and I really enjoy it because I help people, and I really feel accomplished helping people.
If you had to describe in one word, what it takes to be a great nurse, or in one sentence, what would you say?
For me, the perfect word was like a team player, I would say. Because like a team player, when I work with all of like different kinds of interdisciplinary, or PT, OT here, and then one of like the main character are the patients.
So, Carol, rehabilitation nurses help patients with long-term physical disabilities, chronic illnesses. They deal with their limitations, and basically the overall goal is to help the patients reach their full potentials, right? So tell us a little bit about what is the biggest reward in that?
Oh, well, I've been a nurse for many, many years, and I can't tell you, being a rehab nurse has been the most memorable for me. Just trying to rehabilitate stroke patients, amputees. I mean, you're talking about life-changing events for these patients. And then to see my patient who finally puts on that prosthesis and walks, it's like heaven. Or even my stroke patient to get out of bed with minimal assistance to even eat a solid meal. Most rewarding for the hard work that we all done, that we put in like a team effort, including the patient as number one to do this. Very rewarding, extremely rewarding. My most happiest moments have been in rehab.
Prasanna, as an OR nurse, your job is to provide care for patients before, during, and after surgery. I can imagine that must be very difficult.
As a perioperative nurse, we always are there for not just the patients, I said, for the surgeon, because as a nurse, when I came into the operating room, when you're entering a field, I've been a nurse for 24 years this year. And so I've seen the aspect of nursing from the outside, pre-op. Now I'm in the operating room. And it's crucial that we as nurses do the best that we can for our patients, always.
tell us, what advice would you give new nurses?
One of the things is a lot of nurses, or actually people generally, are scared to ask questions. When there's time that you have a patient dealing with something you've never done before, that happens because every day you're going to get something new. You shouldn't be afraid to ask someone, especially some of the other older nurses or the doctors, because they're always willing to teach you and help you out when you need it. So never be afraid to ask questions. That's my main thing that I learned.
Hey Ellen.
Hi.
So tell us, what advice would you give to new nurses?
Nurses who are graduating today, it takes a certain type of person to be a nurse. You have that passion for the art of nursing. I would tell them never lose that passion and be a lifelong learner. Things change so much in a short period of time that not only will it keep you current, but you will be able to provide care for your patients in an evidence-based way.
In your opinion, what qualities makes a great nurse?
Okay, personally with me, I became more compassionate to the patient and the family.
As an experienced nurse, what would you say makes a great nurse? What advice would you give to new nurses?
My advice to new nurses is nursing is an ever-changing, ever-evolving, always moving. You have to be on your tiptoe. You have to go back to school, get your education, and keep learning every day. Any day you stop learning in nursing, then that's it. You need to make a career change at that point. You have to learn every day. So you learn something every day in nursing.
What was the best advice your dad gave you as a nurse?
Don't take everything to heart. You're always gonna, especially when you're working in the ER, because he also works in the ER, you're always gonna come across somebody that doesn't appreciate what you do or doesn't think that what you're doing is good enough. But as long as you know in your heart that there are gonna be people that appreciate what you do, and there are going to be people that are going to yell at you, you gotta take the good with the bad and keep on going this journey.
Hi Pat. Hi. So as an experienced nurse, tell us, what advice would you give to new nurses?
Well, I think the most important thing is for people to talk less and listen more. We all want to be listened to and heard, and I think when you listen to people, they feel understood, and I think that's extremely important for all of us to feel understood, especially patients.
So, as a nursing administrator, someone who climbed to the top, I'm sure that you've had your share of hurdles. Tell us, what advice would you give to current nurses who are aspiring to be in a management position one day? What would you say is the best qualities to possess?
One of the many qualities that one can have for a leader in nursing is to have passion. Passion for what you do, passion for your patients, and to always think about patients as one of your family members. It's think about if they were your father, your mother, your sister, and how would you like to be treated? And so part of that is having empathy. Part of that is being authentic, being true to oneself. And those are some of the innate qualities in even as a leader as you grow up. Of course, you have clinical skills, you need all the other teaching skills, but one that defines you as a leader is being true to your patients and the passion that you bring to the profession, because you want to make a difference, and that's what makes it good for the patients and people that follow you. They look up to you as being somebody that they want to aspire to, and you want to make a difference, you want to make a change, and that's what leadership is all about.
Thank you so much, Nina.